everybody. Welcome to White Line Fever. And if you're listening on the podcast, welcome back. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the buttons down here to subscribe and all that sort of stuff. And it's awesome that our guest has decided to call in early, which is very, very rare. from the Metal Gods tour coming up in Oz, Tim Ripper Owens. How are you, Tim?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm really good. It's really nice of you to call in and to have this chat. Now, we had James Morley actually on the show a couple of weeks ago, and I reckon he's pretty happy with you because of the publicity you've been getting in that Rolling Stone interview, global coverage for the Metal Gods tour.
Yes. I always have a lot going on. I mean, James gets a lot of coverage himself over there doing so many things. But yeah, I've always got something going on, and now I got the new single that just came out that's produced by Jamie Josta. The song's called Embattled, which is just called Ripper now, not Ripper Owens, Ripper. But yeah, so the Rolling Stone came out, and finally they weren't political on this one, because Rolling Stones nowadays is always, it's the craziest thing. There's more politics talked by Rolling Stone than music, so it was nice that they actually talked about music.
Yeah, though I don't think they even asked you about January 6th or Ice Earth or anything like that. So that was good.
I don't think so. No, this guy really, in which I don't talk too much about that stuff anyways, but I'll be candidly honest on stuff. But he was really good. He really asked good questions.
Yeah, and I guess you've been doing media a lot now. So you would have known that when you talked about the Hall of Fame, that would be the news angle. Did you get off the phone and go, that's going to be the news angle, or you still get surprised sometimes?
Well, I always get off the phone thinking, oh, what's going to be in Blabbermouth tomorrow, because you could do 8 million words, and in one word would come out, then they would take it. But I knew it would be, and I don't mind talking about it, because listen, they should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. And, and when they ask about me going in, listen, I'm not going in. And that's cool. Like I said before, I feel like I'm going in anyways, because I was in the band for about 10 years and 2 studio records and 2 live records and a DVD and a Grammy nomination. But, the main people, when it's good to see Rob and Glenn and Ken and Scott get in there for sure,
Yeah. It's funny because I was supposed to do 2 days ago, Neil Schon from Journey, and they actually invited Robert Fleischman when they were inducted, and he didn't even appear on any records. So it's there's just no rule,
it's strange. I mean, it's not that nobody would be surprised. I mean, like I've said before, and listen, I'm friends with the guys, and I don't ever talk bad about my time I was in the band. It's a business, so your feelings can get hurt for a second, but I still love the guys, but it's shocking that my era has just been, swept under the rug, It wasn't like I was expected to, it would have been, I'm still friends with the guys. It would, like I've said in the Rolling Stone article, a phone call would have been nice, just to say, listen, you're not going, instead of, like I said in the Rolling Stone article, instead of getting an email with threatening me for something that some promoter did in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said great publicity for James,
Yeah. That's who they need to deal with. But, just a nice message saying, hey, they're going in. We want to thank you. But, I don't bring, the funny thing is fans are like, man, get over it or get over. I don't bring the stuff up. I mean, we don't start our interview and I go, guess what?
Yeah.
They didn't let me in there. It is what it is. I understand it. And again, it's a business. I got a lot going on with myself. I make a living doing music, and
yeah,
it is what it is.
We'll move on. One more question is that I think fans sometimes think that everyone's buds, and if someone's out of the band, they just call you up. And what we see over and over again is it's actually very impersonal, isn't it? It's always faxes, or as you got a fax, a couple of times, and and they get other people to do it. I mean, I remember being, the band Great White and going to their show, and their last singer's in the bar drinking with them, and the next day he gets sacked. And I'm like, how did he get sacked the next day? He was drinking with them last night, And why is the music business so impersonal? Why can't people just front up and speak person to person and break the news in person?
I mean, the world is very impersonal now. but this was there was faxing when I got let go. I think it's weird because I can't imagine going to a business back in the day, because again, everything's impersonal now. So that's how you do things. You send emails and faxes and text messages. Well, back in the day, when I got the fax, people, businesses, I can't imagine a business sending a letter or something, or whatever. When you went into the office, you went into the boss's office and they let you go. A phone call. And listen, I totally agree with being let go from Judas Priest, and I was totally for it, and everything was great, and I'm not even complaining the way they did it, to be honest. I don't even, my falling out with Judas Priest was very good. As even though it was a fax, it was handled good still. We were still friends, and they handled it well. So, but it's weird. I mean, like I said, this is, nowadays it's a text message or, maybe some kind of meme or whatever. They're gonna, it's like, you're fired. It's a different era now. I mean, everything is like that. And listen, if I'm going to fire Bevan, I'm probably going to text him too.
Okay, before we'll have a song. I warned you, but you're touring with Simon, right? That's what we're here to discuss, the Metal Gods tour. Have you discussed the set list much with him, and do you know how it's going to work? You're going to alternate one of his choices, one of yours, or is there a
quotas? James was the one trying to make the set list. I'm like, hey, hold on there, buddy. He's putting in these Dio songs, and I'm like, listen, I gotta breathe. I mean, this is not and Simon's got to take a break. Simon and I kept going back to James saying, hey, this is, but there's about 10 songs of each. The thing is, it's not chock-a-block full of my stuff because it's not a solo tour. This is a celebration, but it does have, like, I think we got like Burning Hell and One on One in the set list. So we got 2 of my songs, because there's no way I would do Judas Priest without doing mine. But I mean, if it was a regular solo tour, I'd be doing KK's Priest and I'd be doing my new solo song. But we did discuss it, and Simon and I would go back and forth, and I'd say, hey, how about doing this one instead? And the Priest set isn't the problem for me. It's mixing that with the Dio set. Yeah. So we got to be picky, because Dio is a different beast. He's not, I can sing him very well, but he's a lot higher, and there's nowhere to hide, and it just grabs your throat and goes, ugh. And so when I got to go like, yeah, 1 second, then all of a sudden I'm singing Dio, but like going, oh man, I must have fried my voice singing Dio. So it's tough. You really got to think about it, especially I haven't sang Dio in a long time. I did sing Heaven and Hell and Last in Line on my last solo tour, but when you're doing Kill the King and if we do Neon Nights or whatever, it's pretty tough sledding right there.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to White Line Fever, second part of our interview with Tim Ripper Owens. I want to thank him for his time. And if you're watching, just keep watching. Thanks for not turning us off. I wanted to ask you talked about your voice and about the contrast, the different challenges of singing Priest and Dio in the upcoming tour, which we're here to talk about. As you get older as a singer, do you start to worry about your range? And you see a lot of guys, obviously they struggle with it as they get older. Does that sort of play on your mind? How are you finding that?
Well, my range is pretty good. It's the mid range, and it's just hoping it's there. I went through a pretty hard time for the past 5 years or maybe more, that I just didn't have the voice. I was losing it, and I was going hoarse. And I mean, I've been in the studio all day, and I can still go, yeah! So I still got a range where I can go, it's the mid range, it's I can't believe I just screamed like that. That's so cheesy. That's one of those things that people do. They do that to me when I'm singing. They're always like singing high notes, like trying to out sing me. I'm like, go ahead, sing them all.
Well, the front row's looking up at you, trying to.
Yes, I don't even. People are like, how many octaves you got? I got 5 or 6. I'm like, I don't know. I've never counted them. I got a lot. But no, it definitely is. I mean, it's. I've always been that kind of singer. Ronnie Dio could, have beers and entertain everybody before the show, and me, I'm in a corner like this. Don't talk to me, and it's the voice is not like playing guitar. you just don't know if it's going to be there. I mean, you really don't. I mean, I take care of myself a lot. You know, when I'm home, I go to the gym every morning, and I'm in the studio about every day singing songs for people. Everybody knows I'm a workaholic, which I think helps. But one difference is it's different songs, so it's different ways. Once you get into a mode of singing the same songs and doing a tour, like I just did a solo tour in Latin America, 15 or 16 shows and 2 days off, and my high notes were probably the best they've been in 20 years. But I can still feel it in the mid-range. There's this mid-range where it cracks a little more, and it's might not be the same, but you just have to take care of it. And I'm not a big warm-up guy. I've never felt like it's done much for me. I warm up a little bit. I basically make sure my voice is there, and then I do it. But it's you know, when you get older with anything, you know, I mean, I imagine guitar players are the same with their fingers moving, but voice, you never know what you're going to wake up and have, or, you know, and on tour, I just take care of myself and hope it's there.
Yeah. You said you go to the gym in the morning and then you you know, record in the afternoon or whatever. If let's say I start a band tomorrow and I go, I want Tim Ripper Owens to sing on a song. What's the process? Do I ring him? Do I ring your agent? Do I send you an email?
This is a whole different era, isn't it? You could just reach out on Facebook and go, hey, you know, then I give people my email. I'll post it every now and then. I got time off. I got, you know, 2 or 3 weeks off without anything to do. If somebody wants me to guest, usually I just have them get a hold of Ripper Vocals at gmail.com. And then we could talk about it. I don't have a set fee. Everything's different. You know, England and Australia, you guys cost more because you got more money. So if it's Poland or somewhere like that, then the fee goes down.
Sliding scale.
Hey, it's not a lie, because if I get an offer from Australia, I always know it's going to be a good offer. Or if I get an offer from England, or, you know, a lot of places, you can always tell. And I do it. It is a sliding scale because I like to do it, and I like to work. I mean, I'm not going to go too low, but I give great deals and I have a lot of fun. And if someone can't afford me, then I'll do a verse and a chorus or something like that. But it's a lot of fun. I'm doing this one now, and I did a different one yesterday, 2 totally different songs. And actually this will be the 3rd this week. And the one had speaking parts, and, you know, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, you just go Ripper Vocals at gmail.com and we talk about it.
I was reading that Rolling Stone story just then, and you said that Rob Halford had said to you, he took an interest in your tour schedule, and he said, oh, you spend a lot of time in Russia. And I'm thinking, well, obviously not any, you know, now. I just want, has that had a big hit on your business, you know,
No, it did actually, because I had a Russian, which COVID hit it first. So that actually changed it first. But I had a Russian, I was going to sing about 4 or 5 songs with an orchestra. There's like 3 or 4 different singers, and we were doing a tour through Russia, and we were doing rock songs with an orchestra. And COVID hit it first. And then when it was going to break out of COVID, finally, we probably would have done it. But then this happened. It hasn't hit me mainly because I don't, at that time I was touring a lot. I was doing a band called Project Rock, and had Kerry Kelly and James Kotek and Rudy Sarzo, which became A New Revenge. And we used to do a lot of big shows there. We would do, I mean, they were big shows, but it didn't hit it that much really with what's going on now. I also used to tour Ukraine. I did about 3 or 4 nice solo tours through Ukraine too. So I got a lot of friends in Russia and Ukraine, and I still talk to the ones in Ukraine a lot.
Viewers a bit about
the new solo, it's going to be an EP coming out the end of October, which the title of the EP will come out. It's going to have 6 songs, produced by Jamie Josta, who did Dee Snider's last one. I got the who else was with me? Let me see, because I got to check it out. Produced by Jamie Josta and Nikki Belmore. Nikki also plays drums, and Charlie Belmore on guitar, and Christopher Taylor on bass. And we wrote these songs, and better part, they wrote them, most of it, and then I came at the end and wrote stuff. It's heavy. It's straightforward. It's like Jugulator on a little bit of steroids, mixed in with some Beyond Fear. The first single is called Embattled, which is on all the platforms, and the video's out. And it's a short, straightforward heavy metal song.
to watch. Tim, everyone likes to ask you about the film Rockstar, but I just there's like, since I've moved here to England, I've seen Blaze Bayley a couple of times, and there's some similarities in your story. Even James Morley was a big fan of the Angels and then joined the Angels. And I guess now Gary Sharon, this sort of thing. It's almost a rock and roll trope now, isn't it? You're the originator, the guy who was covering the most famous guy who was in a band that regularly played this music and ended up joining the band itself. Have you ever compared notes with those guys? Have you ever had a chat to Blaze Bayley about how the fans treated you and how he won them over and how he's treated now he's not in the band anymore? Have you ever had conversations with guys who've had a similar experience to yourself?
I had a conversation with one big guy who did that, and that was Ronnie Dio, who joined Black Sabbath. And he used to tell me, man, I know what you're going through, Tim. I used to have people in the crowd flipping me off the whole show, and I did too. So, but Blaze and I, Blaze was in Maiden before me, so he kind of started the thing off. We're good friends, really good friends, and we did a lot of touring for a few years there, like in Brazil and in America. We did one, him and I together, and in America we did it with him and I and Jeff Tate. In Europe or Brazil we did just him and I a bunch of times, and then we did a Metal Singers one with me, Blaze, Udo, and Mike Viscara. But we talk about it, and it's we don't mention it too much. We did our thing, we had our records, and I think we worry about what we're doing now, and very, very thankful. With me, I'm always just very thankful for Judas Priest and what they meant to me before. And I always say the only bad thing about joining Judas Priest was I lost my heroes, because they became my friends. They became like family and friends. So those people in high school that was on my wall, I kind of lost that, where I could never touch them. Mm-hmm. Then I became, great friends with them. And so it's kind of sad you lose that. But on the other hand, I make a living because of losing my heroes. So it's all right.
They said, people say never meet your heroes. I mean, what's your experience been like in that department? Have your heroes generally lived up to your expectations, or have it
been great?
Yeah.
Well, joining Judas Priest, meeting those heroes were at the top of my list when I was younger, was fantastic. I mean, I couldn't have been treated any better. So it was great. And Ronnie Dio, and I met a couple along the way that weren't nice. A lot of the LA kind of hair metal bands at first didn't like me. They didn't treat me very well. I think it's because when I joined Priest, they were pretty much non-existent, right? I mean, this was mid-90s. So the hair metal bands or hair rock bands, not metal, I wouldn't say hair metal bands, I'll say hair rock bands, which I became friends with all of them since then, just about. But because they saw me sing, and then they went, okay, this kid from Akron, Ohio, who came out of nowhere, who's headlining Universal Amphitheater, they were pissed. And then they saw me sing, and they're like, okay, this guy's all right. But most of them I've met have been fantastic. I mean, Ronnie Dio was probably the top of the list besides Priest, top of the list on just treating me like a friend and welcoming me to the club, and it was great.
Yeah. Would you say, I'll let you go in a minute, but would you say KK's Priest is your band now? Like that is your major sort of traditional band focus, or is there room in your life and your career to get one of those sort of new original bands and really focus on putting out albums in the old-fashioned way?
It's going to take the number one spot when it's asked to do, but the new Ripper solo thing is hopefully, I'm trying to pave the way for something new. My allergies have just been terrible. I'm sitting to rub my nose because
that's okay.
I've been outside a lot, and it's like, man, oh man, but I'm not doing blow or anything like that. I really want the Ripper thing, and that's why Jamie and I have done this, to try to mold it into something, rebranding the new Ripper logo, just calling it Ripper. These, the singing, the vocals are, they're still high notes, but it's powerful. But KK's Priest to me is still like I told Jamie right away, listen, I'm going to be recording a record with KK's Priest, and we're going to probably tour. So that's going to take, because Jamie calls me all the time. Hey, you want to try to get you on this tour? Do you want to try to get on this tour? He's already like, let's get you on the festivals. He's already working it, you know. But KK's Priest is the one that I would drop everything for. That's going to take number one.
Yeah.